there is a given point at a issue, for example, whether a person is known in the sense of a real and ultimate fact, whether there are such things as ethically good and bad action, and so in general, whether A is B, A's dialogue is now divided into either sub-dialogue or opening, that is Arth Mukh. The introduction of an explicit quantification over times, places and objects determines the attitude of the proponent and respondent to the point of controversy. If the issue in question is, for example, whether lying is immoral, the clarification would be as to whether that proposition is to be maintained or denied, and in either case whether absolutely or only as revitalized in some way to circumstances, times or agent. Therefore, an opening thesis here is by definition a point at issue together with an attitude towards it. Each opening now proceeds as an independent dialogue, and each is divided into 5 stages. The way forward, that is anulom, the way back, that is patikam, the refutation, that is nigga, the application upanan, and the conclusion nigaman. On the way forward, the proponent solicits from the respondent the endorsement of a thesis and then tries to argue against it. On the way back, the respondent turns the tables, soliciting from the proponent an endorsement of the counter thesis and then arguing against it. In the refutation, the respondent seeks to refute the argument that the proponent had advanced against the thesis. The application and conclusion repeat and reaffirm that the proponent's argument against the respondent's thesis is unsound, while the respondent's argument against the proponent's counter thesis is sound. At the end of the way back, in the respondent's arguments have gone well, the proponent has been pressed in the direction of retracting the commitment to the counter thesis. If the respondent were to leave matters here, however, he would have failed in the global aim of the opening. The opening aims to shift the burden of proof decisively onto the proponent. After the second stage in the opening, however, the burden of proof is again symmetrically distributed among the parties to the dialogue. Both are in a position of being pressed to retract their respective commitment. Therefore, in the third phase, the respondent seeks in a defensive move to diffuse the argument of the proponent, that is forcing this retraction. Again, the cited reasoning is schematic. It indicates a general strategy, the details of which must be worked out differently in each specific case. The distinction being drawn is the one between counter argument and defensive riposte, a distinction that makes a sense only within the normative framework of dialogical exchange. The first opening in the Vada Yutti has rehearsed the best argument that is available against someone whose attitude toward the point at issue is one of unqualified affirmation. However, the global aim of a Vada Yutti to be the form of dialogue most conducive to a balanced examination of best argument, both for and against. It is the function now of the second opening to rehearse the best argumentation against someone whose attitude towards the point at issue is one of the outright denials and of the subsequent openings to do likewise, correcting attitudes of qualified affirmation and denial. There may be no final resolution at the end of the dialogue. However, an important meiotic function has been served as the clarification of the commitment entailed by each position of their best strategies and forms of argumentation. So indeed, it is a rich account of presumptive reasoning in dialogue and not so much for its anticipation of formal logic that the Kathāvatthu is a rewarding object of study. Now, we will deal with the method of argumentation in Kathāvatthu. The method of argumentation in Kathāvatthu consists of three factors, namely Thapana of the proponent, second Papana, which is the sequel of Thapana, and third is Aropana, the censoring of the opponent, pointing out his fallacy. So, what remains universal in the treatment of all issues is the dialogical method containing the essence of logical reasoning. We see that the dialogue shows that the participants were well aware of some of the basic rules of logic. For example, the very first dialogue of the Kathāvatthu runs as follows. Theravadins, is the person known in the sense of real and ultimate sense? This is called Thapana. Paravadins answer as yes. Theravadin again question, is the person known in the same way as a real and ultimate fact is known, and this is known as Papana. Paravadin then answer, nay, that cannot truly, in need be said. Theravadins then again say, acknowledge your refutation. If the person be known in the sense of a real and ultimate fact, then indeed, good sir, you should also say the person is known in the same way as any other real and ultimate fact is known, and this is known as Ropana. That which you say here is wrong, namely that we ought to say the person is known in the sense of real and ultimate fact, but we ought not to say the person is known in the same way as any other real and ultimate fact is known. If the latter statement, that is second one, cannot be admitted, then indeed the former statement, that is the first one, should not be admitted. In affirming the former statement, that is the first one, while the fourth one denying the latter's second statement, you are wrong. We see that the general mode of the dialogue consists of the following steps, that is asking a question, that is pucha, its acknowledgement by the opponent either by affirming or denying it, that is patinya, challenge by the proponent anuyog, and the rejection by the opponent, that is patikhep, sometimes refutation nigga by the questioner follows the rejection. This simple method has been followed consistently throughout the text about the interpretation of various statements of both the Buddha and the authoritative disciples of the Buddha. The awareness of the limits and the logical boundaries of the concepts is the hallmark of these debates. A good case in the point is the section called the clarification of term, that is the Pali word Vachan Sodhan. Thank you very much, and I hope this module will enrich your knowledge regarding the methodology of the Kathāvatthu.